we'll end. You got to get going. So we're gonna end that on this note. If you watched the first podcast we did, we said episode 10. You'll learn more about Shaun, how he came to Phuket, why he's doing 5-star Marine. But specifically, we're talking about now. This is kind of this would have been during kind of the beginning of the situation and talking about the life bags and saving Phuket and what he did specifically there. And just before we end this, we had huge floods in Phuket, and that kind of was why I was bringing that up, because if you drive to Kamala, that hike, I don't know if I would trust it yet because those mountains they're destroyed. Can you talk a little bit about what you did, why you did it, and especially what happened with the floods in Phuket, and then we'll kind of end it from there.
Yeah, so flash flooding hit us after 2 days of really heavy rain. A lot of the residential areas were kind of waist deep in water. And as for us, like just looking at the locals and seeing that they needed help, we just kind of reactivated the same system that we had from that period of time we don't talk about. So we just started delivering food, cooking food, life bags, getting them back into their homes. You know, phase one was always about crisis response, getting them out of the waters, getting medical supplies to them. You know, this is the things you don't think about. When you're living in water for a couple of days, fungus comes out, skin conditions. People start getting.
I stepped in some of that water by Beach Pig the other day, and I got this ridiculous rash on my foot in 2 seconds.
Yeah, so this is what we're dealing with. So we're just trying to, and like the Thais, some of them they just didn't want to leave the home. You know, like I went into the floodwaters first day, and people are sleeping on windowsills. You know, that's like they're in their home sleeping on their windowsill because they don't want to leave their home. You know, that's it. That's their house. I saw a lady, she was like on a hospital bed, like obviously towards the end of her life. And I'm like, we should evacuate you. And she's like, no, this is my home.
Which area was hit the hardest?
I think the worst was Samkong.
Where is that?
Kind of Phuket town, Rasada area. It has the natural lay of Phuket as it kind of all rolls downhill to Samkong. And Samkong was in water 7 days. So I went there second day of flood, and they were what we thought was second day of flood. They were on day 4, right? 4 days. And this is when the Navy came in and started to pump all the water out and start to use boats to take, like we were using jet skis to get around their area. That's like how deep the water is. So, you know, like in our area, we're a little bit lucky. Like Pasak got hit pretty hard, and so did Chantilly, but nothing like down there, man. Like you want to see a flood and how they live in the flood, you got to go down to that area. And so kind of for us as a business and our foundation, we just kind of reactivated everything that we had. We went to our volunteers and said, we need help, got to start packing, cooking, start collecting. So then we set up 9 distribution points on the island with the support of all the hotels. And this is the greatest thing. This is what I love Phuket, man. This is why I'm going to stay Phuket the rest of my life. I think is like Phuket in its worst is at its best. You know, like when there's a disaster, everybody in Phuket just drops everything that they're possibly doing and says, let's help everybody. And that's what I loved during this kind of flood is like you saw the expats combined with the Thais, the government go with the NGOs, the army, the police, and everybody's just trying to help. And that's what I love, man. That's like, I love my business, but I don't get the same fulfillment out of my business as I do when I do this kind of work. So
what was the outcome? Like, are they able to get back to normal, or are their homes just completely destroyed now?
So we had 100 communities affected, about 4,000 families. We're now 2 weeks past it. We're still sitting at about 370 families that we can't get back into their homes. Either too much damage. The big thing is like we got to get them back into their homes, but we got to get them being self-sufficient again. Like we need them to cook. You know, like that's the first step. It's like, okay, during crisis response, we cook and give you hot food, right?
If you enjoyed this content, we're doing 5 clips like this a week. If you want to watch the full podcast, click here.